Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my VWXYZ deck. Now this was highly requested. A lot of people wanted me to try this, so I'm giving it a try. It's definitely not a very competitive deck type just because of some of the issues it has. I'll talk about some of the cool things it can do, but overall, some of the negatives weigh it down really heavily and keep it from being strong. But like I said, it still has some cool stuff, and I'll go into the cards and kind of how I build it. Not a lot of other examples of how to build this deck. Not a lot of people have gone for it. Some people have tried, just an XYZ dragon variant, which is a little bit different. But I'm, going with the full, archetype because that was what was requested. So, going into the cards, we're going to be running two Tiger Jet and two X-Head Cannon. So their stats are pretty nicely balanced, but obviously they're normal monsters, so you won't be able to do much with them without the other monsters. I do like their stats. They're not horrible at all. Then one Cyber Eltanin because we're running pretty much mostly light machine monsters as the archetype is. Very, very effective at different points during the duel. And then we're running three Elemental Hero Prisma. So I think Prisma is an essential card in this deck just because of how the fusions work. You can just set up what you need to make plays. Similar to like Gladiator Beasts, you can make some really good plays with that. Especially he's also light, so that allows you to keep the light support and XYZ and things like that. And then when honest in a light based deck, just as I was saying with Prisma, very useful to have a light support card. And then to W-Wing Catapult, just useful to support your V Tiger Jet. A lot of the effect monsters for these cards are pretty similar. You just equip them, or you can special summon them, or you can keep your monster from being destroyed. Similarly, Y Dragon Head does the same thing to X, and Z does the same thing to X or Y. The difficult thing is it doesn't completely work between all of them, but some of them do support the other, so it allows you to make them a bit stronger and keep them from being destroyed. But it's only through battle, which is kind of the more annoying part about them, that a lot of people can just use effects to get around the fact that you won't get destroyed. So now for the spell cards, one Dark Hole, two Double Summon. I find that Double Summon is almost necessary in this deck. You need some form of quick summoning because these cards can't really do much until you bring two out at once. That's the real core of the deck. Two Forbidden Lance. Another issue with this deck, another negative, is that you have to bring out these powerful fusion monsters, but they have no protection. So I think Forbidden Lance is another essential card for this deck. This archetype in general doesn't have any support, but they do have union monsters, and union monsters have their own support. So Frontline Base is a good card for that. Again, the special summoning, we need some type of engine for that. Also Iron Call to do a similar thing. One limiter removal in a machine-based deck, very, very helpful. One machine assembly line, I really like this. Helps our monsters get a little bit stronger and gives us additional special summoning, which is nice. Two MST, two Soul Charge. Again, a really nice card for this deck, especially combined with Prisma. We can make some big plays with this and bring out our fusions. And then pretty much stable traps, not too much to say there. So now for the extra deck, we're going to be running a lot of the fusions for this deck because that's the point of the archetype. Again, another negative. I'm not trying to hate on the deck at all. I'm just trying to explain how it works. But a big negative from the fusions is that a lot of their effects require you to discard a card. So it requires big advantage to get them out, and then it requires big advantage to even use their effects. So that's kind of an annoying part, but their effects are very powerful. So first off, VW Tiger Catapult, allowing you to change battle positions, which is nice. Additionally, because of these discarding effects, we do have a lot of graveyard stuff, so I like that we can make use of that pretty easily. The big boss of the deck, VWXYZ, this one's very, very hard to get out, but if you do get it out, you can just banish things from your opponent, which is very, very powerful. XY Dragon Cannon, just allowing you to destroy spells and traps, so that's pretty nice. XYZ, this one's kind of an alternative boss, can be a very powerful card. A one-for-one card that is at 2800, which is pretty nice. And then XZ Tank Cannon, another nice one to just destroy set spell or traps, so that could be nice dealing with back row, which can be an issue for your bigger fusions. So for the XYZ, it's just a little bit limited because of the amount of fusions we're running. One Omega with our light monsters, one Exciton, Gagaga, Gigant helping us search out Maestroke and Silent Honor. Some of the best ones I think you can run for this deck, but there are some other options that I will talk about. So now for the side deck, if you haven't seen a video of mine before, in the side deck I kind of just go over other recommended cards that could be good for the deck type. Some other ideas that I've seen people use or I think could be useful. Maybe you guys would consider running them in your decks or something like that. Not meant to be a side deck for matches. So we do have a lot of bringing out two lights at once, so Guardian of Order could be an easy special summon. Doesn't really help what you're trying to do, but gives you some additional swarming. There's Jade Knight, Shining Angel. I forget what the other one is. There's a bunch of different monsters that you can use. A Nova Summoner, I think. There's a bunch of them that you can just search out in Special Summon or get what you need. You can also use Machina Peacekeeper because that can search out Union monsters. So there's a bunch of additional searching cards if you want to use. I'm just not running them because I find that you need a lot of spell support to make this deck work. Another thing that I was going to try is build this with Machinas just to give it some additional power. But in doing that, I'd have to run less of the archetype monsters, and I really didn't like that. But that's definitely a choice if you want to have additional power in the deck. You could definitely run this with Synchros. Run like Scopin could be nice because he's light, or the Vylons, another additional thing you could do. Summoner Monk can give you some additional plays to special summon things, and you can also use that with Iron Call to make your plays a little more easily. Kind of difficult because I don't want to XYZ with Summoner Monk because of how the deck works, but still can give you some additional options. Dimension Explosion can be useful because all the fusions tend to banish your cards. That's another negative I forgot to mention is that they banish your cards, but then you can use cards like this that support banished cards or like DDR or something. Luminous Spark can give you additional power with your deck, which is nice because you already have additional power if they become, equipped with the other monsters, so they can become really strong on their own. Lightwave Tuning, another way to make this deck a synchro-based deck without using additional tuners. Machina Armored Unit, another thing to help you support and bring your cards back out because they're all, level 4 light machines. Reckless Greed, because we have cards that rely on discarding, Reckless Greed can be nice to have. Rollout is another Union support card. I don't think there's that many of them, but there's a few like this one that can be interesting. Other XYZs like Star Liege, other just generic ones, Photon, Lavalo Chain to make additional plays. There's a few we can run. We just don't have enough room with all the fusions we're running. So that's my VW XYZ deck. You can run this with just XYZ, and you can kind of change up the deck type. I don't mean XYZ monsters, but that's another way to run it. You could just run XYZ monsters. But there's a few different ways you can go about it. As far as the VW XYZ, I think I'm pretty much doing all I can to really bring out these monsters and make the fusions work. I talked about the negatives. I still really like the deck type. If it ever does get support, it has like no support right now, but if it does ever get support or maybe more powerful fusions, I think it could be a really nice deck. But for now, we'll just stick with what we have and try to make it as strong as possible. But if you guys do have any suggestions for me, any cards I didn't think about that could be useful, I would definitely love to hear it. This is still an experimental build, so, let me know what you guys are thinking, and if there's any really cool cards that can make this deck run more consistently, let me know. But that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.